All right. Mic, check. All right. What's good? It's your boy Joshua. Another episode of Crazy Good Talks. And today we are going to have some good talks. Anyhow, let's hop right into it. Peaks and valleys, my friends. Peaks and valleys. I don't think I could say that enough. But nonetheless, I feel aware of what's going on right now. And the first thing I kind of want to talk about is friction is not failure, right? Friction is not failure. And what I mean by that is at times I realize that I look ahead a lot, right? I'm looking ahead. I'm trying to learn from others, from their successes and from their failures. And so sometimes I fall into a trap where I feel like because I have more information going into circumstances that others didn't have, that I should naturally do better, right? But I take it further than that. I feel like subconsciously, at times I feel like not only should I do better, I shouldn't make a mistake at all, right? So I had to catch myself. I had to catch myself in the midst of that because I realized every time I would blunder or like make a misstep, I'd be upset, not so much at the mistake, but or understanding that it's part of the process. I'd be more upset that I knew better or I wanted to be able to execute better. Right. So it's just like I put an added stress onto myself outside of just going through whatever the situation was. Right. And then I had to stop and really look at myself and tell myself, like, listen, like, friction is not failure. Right. So it's like just because there's always going to be something. Nothing is going to be perfect. Nothing is going to be executed perfectly. Right. Everybody's circumstance is different. So you have to take that burden off of yourself of trying to go through unscathed, right? Even though you knew more, okay, yes, it gives you opportunity to do better, but at the same time, there's still going to be a set of challenges that that's going to present themselves to you. So don't be upset at that, nor don't be upset at, you can only do what you can do, right? So execute to the best of your abilities and understand that the missteps are not failures. It's part of the process. And like I said, I just feel like I was being super duper hard on myself because, like I said, excellence is the standard, perfection is the standard. And again, is there really a such thing as perfection? I get it. But always shooting to do better. But that was one thing that I realized for myself where it's just like, okay, take a couple steps back, calm down. You're going to be good. Like, don't panic. Like, you're going to be all right. So friction is not failure. That was the first kind of concept that stood out to me these past couple of weeks. Something that kind of I've gained understanding on. And then along with that, I want to talk about sometimes you just lose. Right? I've been listening to, what's his name? Jim Rohn a lot as of late. And he was talking about the different biblical principles as far as like reaping what you sow. Right. And he said something that was very interesting to me and that resonated with me, which is the fact of sometimes you do just like the farmer. Sometimes a farmer will plant the seed, do everything that he has to do, and then when it comes time for the harvest, a storm happens and ruins his whole crop. Right? He did everything that he had to do. He did the right things. Right? It's not that he was a bad person. It's not that it's just life happens. How do you explain it? I don't know. He don't know. Don't dwell on trying to make it make sense, but just understand that sometimes you just lose. Sometimes you do everything that you can and life happens. Something happens. You got to kind of accept that and move on, and that was very, I don't want to say tough for me to accept, but when I heard it, I understood it. It did come with frustration because at times I feel like I've been trying to do the right things and do the little things to set myself up for the future and everything. And again, expectation versus reality, understanding that different things didn't pan out the way I thought they would, and letting go of those expectations because we are where we are now and trying my best to move forward is what I've been trying to do. But it's interesting to me because what I thought would have been most challenging to me is like what's become most challenging to me isn't the fact that I'm not where I expected or where I wanted to be. It's not even that. What's become more challenging to me is fighting the mindset of victimizing myself in a sense of like, oh, poor me. It's like one thing I found myself constantly saying these past couple of weeks is just like I did so much. I did so much. It wasn't the result. Yes, I was upset about, but that's not what really gave me a hard time. What gave me a hard time was the effort that I put forth. And I'm not even talking about this past. I'm talking about the past 8-9 years. The effort that I put forth, and just evaluating and seeing where I'm at, and it's just like I'm just like, but I gave everything. Like I gave everything, and it's just like having to overcome that and just understand and not allowing bitterness to creep in and to stop doing the right things, right? Because ultimately, when you look at things, it's just like in the streets, where they used to be like in the streets. If you're in the streets, you're going to be in two places. You're going to either be dead or in jail, right? When you play the game. And it's just whether or not you get lucky, you pull that job off, you do that, whatever, you get lucky. But ultimately, your fate is one of two things, right? And it's just like, I feel like it's the same thing as far as doing good. It's just on the opposite. So you may catch a couple bad breaks where it's just like things just don't pan out, things just don't work out, things just whatever. But you have to keep the discipline and doing the right things, because eventually it will catch up, right? So that's kind of been mindset-wise the most challenging for me, mindset-wise, that I've been trying to overcome is keeping the mindset of continuing to do the right things regardless of the result, right? Continue to do the right things regardless of the result. And I just understand that, like, sometimes you lose. Sometimes you do everything you do and you lose. Like, that's it. That's part of life. Like, that's it. Like, that's it. It is what it is. So that for me, I'm still grasping that one. Like I said, that one still, I'm not trying to act like I'm all the way there. Thoughts still creep in my head, and I still go back and forth with it. But I think at the end of the day, is real. It's true. It's true because, and especially for me, being a Christian, and if I believe the Bible and the Bible says that you reap what you sow, then you reap what you sow. Like that's like, those are facts. You know what I'm saying? So it's just that for me, understanding that and understanding just like the law of gravity, the law of reaping and sowing and reaping, those are things that are pretty concrete for me. And then so it's a lot of times it's like, all right, so the next thing I want to talk about is the fact that it's nobody's responsibility to make you happy, right? It is no one's responsibility to make you happy. It is your responsibility to make you happy, right? Don't put that pressure on somebody. They're not going to live up to it. They can't. They're going to disappoint you every time. They're not God. It's going to disappoint you every time. Like, it is nobody's responsibility but yourself to make yourself happy. Right. And I don't know why. It's just been more clear and clear to me as of late. You know, I'm just like, no matter who comes into my life or who leaves my life or whatever the case may be, it's my responsibility to find a way to keep plugging through. And it's just like, it's some things that you just don't, I don't want to say some things you don't burden others with, but it's some things here. I feel like you have to, what I'm learning is you have to pull from, how do I say this? I feel like what I'm learning is you have to pull from a lot of different people, in the sense of you get different things from different people. And when you start trying to rely heavily on one person or two people or three people, like when you start trying to rely heavily on those people for whatever it is, for communication, for talking, for just venting, for whatever it is that you go to them for just listening, for just companionship, whatever. When you start relying too heavily on any one, no one can sustain that, right? So then it's gonna, they'll inevitably disappoint you, right? They have their own lives, they have their own circle of friends, they have their own pursuits, they have their own goals, they have their own ambitions that they're going after. So it's just like they can only but so much. They can only do but so much. So it's just like I said, one thing I've been learning is building your circle. Building your circle is, I feel like, is crucial. I feel like is important, especially when things start to get rougher and downtimes or whatever the case may be. Because if you don't have that foundation set from the beginning, it's going to be tougher to go through whatever it is that you're going through, right? It's going to compile, like whatever it is that you're going through, you'll be going through that compiled with the fact that now you're upset at this person because you're trying to lean on them and you didn't do the due diligence to build out your circle of people, and you're asking so much of them, and that's not their responsibility. It's nobody's responsibility. Even when it comes to relationships, and I look at it, it's just like, it's nobody's responsibility. It's not your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your husband or your wife. It's not their responsibility to figure out what you want to do with your life. That is your responsibility. Like, you are responsible for that. You are responsible for making yourself the best person that you can be, the best version of yourself, so that in turn, you're both able to serve each other, right? But it's not for them to figure out. They're trying to figure out them. It's not even like they can, though. It's not even like that's another thing. It's not even like they can. They can't figure that out for you. You have to figure that out. It's certain things you just gonna have to walk out, and it's just like those are just one of those things. It's like you have to understand that you have to be constantly seeking, growing in knowledge and whatever the case may be, and making yourself a better person. And then staying on this topic in this vein, because this has become very interesting to me, the idea of trying to change somebody, right? You can't change anybody. They are what they are. They are who they are. Think about it like this. I was thinking about this. I've been trying to wake up at 5:30 in the morning every day. That's been like my new thing as far as like trying to get in routine. But like for lifestyle, for like the rest of my life, I want to be able to be up at 5:30 in the morning to start my day. And it's like, it's been like 2 months. That's been like my only goal, my only real like goal start. If I tell you that I've done it more than 3 days consecutively, like I haven't been able to string longer than 3 days in a row getting up at 5:30 in the morning. That's me knowing what it's going to do for me, knowing who I want to become, knowing the impact that it will have on my life. I personally want to change. I do. I know the benefits that it'll bring me, yet I still struggle with it. How much more do you think is going to be tougher to convince somebody else to do what you want them to do? They can't even do what they want to do. Like, I can't even do what I'm trying to do. Like, I'm fighting to try to figure out, I can't even do that. And then you think that because you want me to do it, I'm going to do it. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's not your responsibility to change people. Like, it's not. It is not. Like, it's not your responsibility. And I'm telling you, I'm learning this. I was on a conversation. I was having a conversation with one of my guys the other day, and like our conversations tend to be based like he's younger, so it's just like I constantly just like I'll give advice and just like be like, yo, this, and watch out for this, and watch out for this, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm going through this, bro, this is going to come, and blah, blah, blah. So our conversation seems to like tend to be on that side where it's just like I talk a lot and he's just like listening. And in like middle of the conversation, I started realizing something. I'm just like, I shouldn't even be, because I was telling him what I learned and going through all of this stuff. And I was just like, but I shouldn't even be telling you. Like, I was like, our conversations are actually wrong. Like, I shouldn't even be offering you advice that you never asked for. Right? And I was just like, honestly, I need to stop talking now. Like, I just need to stop. Like, I shouldn't be offering you any type of advice right now, and that's within that vein. And it was just it was mad interesting to me, and we just both started laughing. I was just like, I'm actually doing everything that I know I shouldn't be doing. Like, it's not my responsibility. Like, I want to give you game so that, because I feel like I want you to do more and be farther than what I did and excel and da. But that's just me trying to make you in the version of who I want you to be. Who do you want to be? Like, if you're not asking the questions, I have no responsibility. Like, that's not my responsibility to tell you. Like, you don't even want that, right? It's like you may or you may not, but it's just like you have to solicit for advice. Like, you have to solicit that. You have to say, oh, hey, yo, what do you think about this? Or such. Like, I can't just spew everything that I'm learning and thinking that you're living the same life that I'm living. Like, I'm just trying to build you in the version that I want to see, right? And that's completely messed up. That's completely wrong. Completely wrong. And I was just like, wow. Like, I was like, wow, I really bodied that. Like, I messed that up. But yeah, like, people are meant to be who they are. And then again, this is where it comes back to my faith and understanding, like, that's why I think pursuing whatever type of relationship, it's just like that whoever you're pursuing is pursuing Christ, right? Because if they're ultimately truly pursuing Christ is going to, the ultimate goal of Christ is to make us in his image, right? So those flaws, those things that you struggle with and you fight with and you argue about and blah, 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 that's what God's going to be working on, right? And I was listening to Paul Washer, and he was talking about marriage and everything, and he was saying that marriage is like people think that you're supposed to be so compatible with your spouse, right? But he was challenging that thought, and he was saying that marriage is he believes some marriages aren't even like not even some, most are not supposed to be so compatible, in a sense of God gives you enough grace to deal with the person within their within whatever it is that makes you upset, or that you're not compatible with, or whatever the case may be, to sharpen you and to mold you and to make you more into like Christ, and to work on them also, vice versa. So it was just like that kind of blew my mind, where I was just like, wow. It's just wow. Like I was just like, and like I said, I believe a lot of friction comes from people trying to make others who they think they should be. But I'm going to leave it at that. It's your boy, Joshua. Another Crazy Good Talks. You dig?